This video is dedicated to Antonio Rouse. Antonio, thank you. Maelstrom Wanderer versus a couple of partner commanders. Vile Smasher the Fierce along with Ludwig, Necro Alchemist. And then Prossh Game of Kerr and Xenagos, God of Revels. Plenty of red in this game. And we have quite a heavy hand there. Sensei's Top might help us, but with all the red, it might get removal pointed at it. We can always put it back on top of our library, but it's just recasting it again. There's no guarantee. We don't have a bunch of expensive stuff on top. I'm going to try and get into ramp, because we're going to have to be fast in this game, I imagine. Okay, there is some ramp on Blighted Woodland. We can get Gilded Lotus out a turn early. Let's just keep that. It's still not incredible, to be honest, but it's better than the last hand. That is quite the fast start from Prossh, as you would expect. A Mox Diamond takes them into Sylvan Library straight away. We are just following the partner player's example by going in for a tap land. Then Xenagos doesn't have a turn 1 play either, so we'll see what Prossh can do. Down to 4 cards in hand, although I'm sure they will refill with the Sylvan Library. They just take a hit for 4 from the Sylvan Library, so putting a card back on top. Oh, and what did they get rid of with the Mox, actually? They discarded a Tri-land, and now getting into Llanowar Elves. And an Earthcraft, so probably got some combos to do with Earthcraft. They're making use of the Earthcraft to untap their land. They couldn't tap the Llanowar Elves down for mana thanks to the Summoning Sickness. But just thought they might have had another mana dot to go for them, but apparently not. Rakdos Signet from the Grixis player. And then it's just a land for us, so let's get down the Blighted Woodland. Don't think it really matters which land we go for. We'll just pass at that. A Sylvan Scrying from the Gruul player gets them into an Ancient Tomb, so just trying to keep up with the Jund player over here. And they take a big hit this time, going down to 28 and 6 cards in hand. Get themselves into a sack outlet in Phyrexian Tower. Then sacrificing their Llanowar Elves to the Phyrexian Tower to get down Prossh Game of Kerr. And they can generate a bunch of green mana here if they want to. Thanks to the Earthcraft, and they do start to do that. Now going for a crop rotation, getting rid of the Phyrexian Tower. And that takes them into Gaia's Cradle for even more green mana. And that is Rude Awakening, which untaps all the lands they control, so they get to tap down again with the Gaia's Cradle. Going for Shamanic Revelation, which takes them up to 9. And now a Wood Elves, which I'm sure will take them into the red mana that they're currently missing. They do go for the Tiger. And now it is Beastmaster Ascension, which can probably help them to knock a player, maybe 2 out next turn, maybe this turn. Concordant Crossroads. Let's see who they go in at. They only have 5 creatures to swing in with, and this needs 7 counters, I think. Yeah, it's 7 counters, so that will be active next turn. It is the Grixis player that they're coming in at. Oh, they've got the Wood Elves as well. So, is that enough to activate the Beastmaster Ascension? Yeah, I think it is actually. I must have miscounted. Yeah, they've got 6 there. So it looks as though this is actually going to be active. Very impressive start from our opponent, so it takes them down to 0 exactly. So that's 1 player knocked out on turn 3. And it's an Acidic Slime for us. I think I'd very much like to get rid of the Sylvan Library, but I think we have to get rid of Beastmaster Ascension. Maybe we'll do that in response to them turning things sideways. And with that, the Gruul player decides to time out. So let's Yeah, let's try and encourage the Prossh player to swing in at us. Obviously, they have already won this one. But we'll go for the Cross and Grip onto their Beastmaster Ascension anyway. Just for the sake of dragging the game out. I think they drew another card there with the Sylvan Library. They have 9 in hand. And it might be that they've got a Heroic Intervention or something like that here. We'll just make them turn everything in sideways and then go for... Oh, actually, they can't use Heroic Intervention with a Cross and Grip, can they? Anyway, more counters going on to the Beastmaster Ascension. Let's go for our Cross and Grip. So they are going to get us, but they're not going to get us this turn. Avenger of Zendikar for some more tokens, just to make sure that they get the win off on us next turn. Although they only get 4 tokens with that, don't they, thanks to not having too many lands. Saving a land for the Avenger. So a plus counter on each of their plants. Then a Gruul Signet. And then taking it back round to us, they've got 6 cards in hand, 5 mana available. I think we go for... I mean, Acidic Slime has lots of really good targets. But I think we have to go after... It's either Sylvan Library or Gaia's Cradle to me. I think I'll go after the Gaia's Cradle. Then what was that from our opponent? They went for Fire Covenant, but they only put 1 life into it, so allowing us to keep our Acidic Slime. Yeah. I think they must have misclicked there. Oh no, I think they actually did do 2, but they've put a damage on the Avenger of Zendikar somehow, so they're obviously clicking too quickly. And yeah, click their Avenger instead of Acidic Slime twice. Now going for a Tainted Pact. So this seems to be a very, very well-tuned deck. I hope it's not a C-EDH deck. I wouldn't know what a C-EDH deck looks like, personally. I don't know if you can run Avenger of Zendikar in C-EDH or not. Anyway, might be able to get a look at our opponent's deck for any of you that are interested. They've gotten rid of a few things here already. Birthing Pod Fecundity is really good in Prossh. There's Garruk Wildspeaker to go with the Gaia's Cradle, I imagine. And then they ended up getting what they want there. It's a Vamp Tutor, which they will do during the upkeep. We are not going to swing him. I imagine they've got the win on us next turn, because I dare say they tutor for something that wins them the game. Yeah, Crater Hoof will do it, won't it? They did go for the tutor at the beginning of the upkeep, and now get to draw into their card with Sylvan Library. They are down to 12, but obviously it doesn't matter when they've gotten off to as good a start as they have. More plus counters on the plants with the land coming in. And I fully expect to see a Crater Hoof or a buff of some kind here. Alright, going for Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness grabs back their Beastmaster Ascension, yeah, so just going for that line of play instead. They can cast that, no problem here, and then just turn everything in sideways, and all of their stuff will get +5/+5 again. So, for any of you C-EDH players out there, let me know. Is this a C-EDH build or not? I know people tend to run Food Chain Prossh. Yeah, maybe this is just a very powerful deck from our opponent. Anyway, hopefully some of you enjoyed seeing Prossh go off here. I am going to attempt to get a real game in now. So this can be a bit of bonus content for you. Alright, let's try again. Maelstrom Wanderer versus Yennett, Cryptic Sovereign, Nekusar the Mindrazer, and Zacama, Primal Calamity. We are having the hardest time getting into ramping this deck for some reason. I've run this deck a million times and we never struggle with ramp, so I'm going to blame the shuffler. Let's go for a mulligan. And yeah, just continue to get into all the expensive stuff. Let's test another mulligan. We'll have to go down a card. Dockside Extortionist. I mean, we don't even have all our colours there. Let's just keep that and assume that we're going to lose this one. Hopefully our opponents show us a decent game, because I don't think we are going to show them one. The first spell of the game is a Ponder from the Esper player. Alright, Scroll Rack might actually be very useful for us. Let's go for a tap Steam Vents, and we'll have to rely on Scroll Rack as best we can. Wayfarer's Bauble for Zacama, so already getting their ramp spells out. Yeah, just continuing to draw into the expensive stuff there. Let's attempt a Scroll Rack and hope that it doesn't get counted, because I'm definitely going to ditch this hand next turn. That comes down really easily, so now it's fingers crossed that it doesn't get removed. Could have saved it for turn 3, but I just want to play something in F6. Wayfarer's Bauble getting cracked by Zacama. Infiltration Lens from Nekusar now, not one that I'd expect to see from Nekusar. Then they go in for a bounce land, bouncing one of their temples, so playing a lot of tap lands over there. Pretty slow start from them. And then at the end of their turn, it is a Brainstorm from the Esper player. And oh look, it's another expensive card for us. Wow, that's, yeah, you're surprised, aren't you? Alright, let's go for the Scroll Rack straight away. We'll dump all this stuff on top, hope that we get into a fetch. I'll put the Dockside Extortionist on top, I think. I don't care about everything else. So let's just go like this. And we have a Myriad Landscape, which we can shuffle away during the upkeep if we care. I think we go Mountain, and I don't mind drawing into Dockside Extortionist again. So we'll go like that. We've got a tap land in Ketria Triome. I think, yeah, we're just cracking the Myriad Landscape next turn. Psychic Membrane from Nekusar, that's Defender, and when it blocks, you may draw a card. So it seems as though this Nekusar player is concentrating on having themselves draw cards, as opposed to having everyone draw cards, as Nekusar typically tends to play. Then Sphinx of Foresight for the Esper player. That's just at the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. So let's just go for the tap land. And we'll go for the Myriad Landscape now. And that will shuffle all of that expensive stuff away, ready for us to draw straight into it again next turn. Nylea, God of the Hunt from Zacama. And how far are they off of their Zacama? Actually, they've got a 9-mana commander, so only a couple of lands away from that. Alright, no Nekusar from the Nekusar player, just deciding to hold up their mana. They do have 5 mana up there. Okay, the Esper player was struggling on black mana, but they go straight into an Urborg, making everyone's lands black. And then a Wayfarer's Bauble as well, which they crack immediately. You'd think they would go in for a Swamp there, just to protect them against Strip Mine on the Urborg. But they do not. They go for another... Was that? I think another blue source there. Anyway, coming in at us with the 4-4, we will tend to be targeted before anyone else, because people are scared of the Maelstrom Wanderer, as they probably should be. Okay, Sarkhan's Unsealing is good, so let's go for the Rootbound Crag. We'll get down Thran Dynamo, then get down the Sarkhan's Unsealing, and that, I think, sets us up nicely for our commander next turn. We'll hold up the Scroll Rack as well, just in case there's something in our hand we want to protect, but I doubt we care about anything that's in our hand really at the moment. Looks as though we might be seeing counter magic here. Alright, a Swan Song. Not really all that bothered about Sarkhan's Unsealing, to be honest, so happy to get the counter magic out of their hand there. Zerda the Dawnwaker now. There are some combo things you can do here. I'm surprised that we haven't seen too many commander builds of this card. I don't think I've ever played against Zerda, actually. Yeah, there's all kinds of combo things you can do with this. So hopefully we won't see that in this game. Alright, there's a Brash Taunter, so that can fight something for a single red now. Sphinx's Tutelage from Nekusar. Very strange Nekusar deck we're seeing here. Mystic Sanctuary coming down now, and that will either grab Brainstorm or Ponder. I dare say they go for... I don't know, actually. Maybe Ponder for the shuffle. Nope, they go for Brainstorm. This time the Sphinx is swinging in towards the Zacama player. Sphinx Summoner now, so it seems as though this is Esper Sphinx Tribal. Hopefully they don't get into Unesh, by far the best Sphinx commander, I think. This one is search for an artifact creature card, put it into your hand. There is that Sphinx card, actually, that makes someone's life total 10, I think it is. Yeah, that's the one. Ugh. Yeah, okay, and that is 7 mana. They've got 4, 5, 6, and 7 mana. So I think I'm going to hold up the bird for as long as I can, because I dare say they'll point that at us. Anyway, let's go for the scroll rack. Let's just put 2 cards on top. Okay, so we'll draw into Shaman of the Forgotten Ways next turn. Got ourselves into an Arcanist the Omnipotent. So let's play the Hinterland Harbour. We'll cascade once with the Maelstrom Wanderer, and then we'll see if we want to get into Arcanist or not. Yeah, we'll just see what we get into first of all. So the first cascade is a Mana Reflection. That's really good. Let's see if that gets countered. So do we want to go for another cascade after that? I think I do want to go for Arcanist. We actually get 5 treasure tokens from the Dockside Extortionist, don't we? So, yeah, if we pay 2 mana for Dockside, get that down, we'll have 2 mana left over, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Yeah, so we can actually hardcast Arcanist. So in that case, let's go for another cascade with the Maelstrom Wanderer. Oh, and a Balefire Dragon, alright, so that gets a flyer into play, that's really good. So, do you want to counter the flyer, or do you want to counter Maelstrom Wanderer? Neither, apparently. Alright, so both coming down there. Let's go in for Dockside Extortionist. That also lands, so we get our tokens, and we'll go in for Arcanist after this. And the good thing is, the treasure tokens tap for 2 mana apiece as well. I didn't remember that, so Mana Reflection, allowing us to keep some treasures in play. And Arcanist does have haste, so we'll be able to draw 3 cards here. Okay, getting ourselves into Nezahal. I think we get 2 mana from that, which means we go up a mana if we go for a creature. I think we're just going in for Sylvan Library and we'll pass at that. Actually, before we pass, we'll go into combat. Let's go for Maelstrom Wanderer into the Nekusar player. Can't swing in here because it's going to deal that much damage to any target, so we need to get rid of that first, really, before we start swinging in their way. I'm going to try and discourage the Magister Sphinx from pointing our way, although it probably will anyway, so just attacking in at the Nekusar player, and they are doing something in response. Going for a Chaos Warp onto our commander. So do we go for Scroll Rack in response to that to get ourselves into a Nezahal? I think that's an okay idea. Yeah, let's do that. I think I'm actually okay with putting all of these on top. Let's look at some new cards. So we'll put that on top. Well, we're putting all of them on top, but we want to Chaos Warp into the Nezahal. We've got Diluvian Primordial, which might be useful to us. Nezahal goes on the very top so that Chaos Warp will reveal our Nezahal after getting rid of the Maelstrom Wanderer. Oh, you actually shuffle your library with that. Okay. Didn't realise how Chaos Warp worked, so we got rid of a Nezahal for no reason. Let's not shock in a Stomping Ground. We'll just pass the turn at that, I think. Maybe should have shot that in, actually, because we could have protected the Arcanist, but not to worry. I think we're doing alright. Really want to get into the Shadow Spear if we're going to have our life total reduced. Our opponent slams down Zacama, Primal Calamity, and they are immediately destroying our mana doubler. The Mana Reflection going down, so we couldn't have saved this anyway, even if we had shocked in the Stomping Ground, because we'd be a couple of mana short at this point. Then giving +2/+2 with Nylea to the Brash Taunter, which means they're wanting to destroy whatever they fight, and going for a Gilded Lotus. Then Zacama dealing 3 damage to the Balefire Dragon, and the Zacama only costs 1 mana, as does the fight creature, thanks to the Zerda. So they deal 6 damage to us with this thing, because the Balefire Dragon dealt 6 damage to that. And then it's 3 damage to another creature, that is the Sphinx Summoner. So getting rid of that. So we're not necessarily looking like as big a threat now that we've had some of our stuff removed, so maybe Zacama might get targeted with the Magister Sphinx. During the draw step, Nekusar is going to mill Zacama a couple of cards, getting rid of a Kessig Wolfrun and a Gilded Goose. And then Nekusar finally coming down from the Nekusar player, and there is an Infiltration Lens going on there. And there is an Infiltration Lens going on there now. And as we thought would occur, the Magister Sphinx being cast by the Esper player now, it's just a case of seeing who they point that at. Yeah, they do point it at us, so taking us down to 10 life, and then not swinging in at us, thankfully. We just need to get into our Shadow Spear now, I think, to try and gain some life. We also need to be careful which cards we put on top with the Sylvan Library and the, and the Scroll Rack. We're going to lose some more life to Nekusar here. In fact, I don't know if we can draw cards with the Sylvan Library, thanks to Nekusar being in play. The Sylvan Library does count as card draw, although we just got into a Nyxbloom Ancient. Yeah, I mean, we need to get into life gain anyway, so I'm just going to lean into the Nekusar thing, although we could just Chaos Warp the Nekusar away with the Diluvian Primordial. Yeah, let's look at some more cards with the Sylvan Library. Alright, we'll just put the Breeding Pool on top and the Shaman of the Forgotten Ways. And then I think we're cascading into Nyxbloom Ancient and Diluvian Primordial. Yeah, so let's get down Sulphur Falls. We'll activate Scroll Rack now. Put these two on top. In fact, we'll put all of these on top just to look at a few more cards. Then it's Mountain, Acidic Slime, and then these two in any order. Don't think it matters. Alright, we've got a Bribery over there as well. Let's attempt our commander. And then we know what we're cascading into, because obviously we just put them on top. Nyxbloom Ancient first of all, and then Diluvian Primordial. And that will allow us to go for a Cultivate here. We'll shuffle the stuff on top away. Chaos Warp and a Ponder. We'll cast Ponder first of all. Then it is Chaos Warp onto the Nekusar, just because it's going to end up killing us. I'd like to cast it on the Zacama, but yeah, Nekusar is going to kill us, like I said, so we'll go in for the Cultivate, and that can just be a forest and an island. Island goes in tapped, then we'll see what Nekusar manages to warp into. That becomes Joyery N, so they can get some more card draw on the go with that. And then Primeval Bounty on top is a means of gaining life. So we go Island, Mountain, and Primeval Bounty. I don't think we're going to survive until our next turn. We will not shuffle, but we'll attempt to. Now then, treasure tokens tap unlike gold tokens, so that will make the Nyxbloom Ancient give us 3 times the mana. Let's go for triple blue, like that. And who is likely to give us some life? I think I'll point us over here and hope that there's some kind of life gain, or maybe an Avacyn we can go for, something like that, although it's Sphinx Tribal. I don't know my Sphinxes that well. Maybe there's some kind of life gain Sphinx we can grab. Well, there's a Void Winnower. There's that. We actually have that in this deck. Platinum Angel might be useful, actually. Diluvian Primordial, Geode Golem, Muldrifter. Yeah, so apparently it's not Sphinx Tribal. They just have a few Sphinxes in the deck. I think we're going after the Platinum Angel. Then we'll hold on to the Arcanis as a blocker, just in case. Not much point in drawing now, because I don't think we're actually going to be able to cast anything. And yeah, I think we're just done for here. I dare say that Zacama is going to go crazy with lightning bolts, thanks to this thing. This player's gunning for us as well, so holding back Maelstrom Wanderer doesn't really do anything, I don't think. Let's just swing it in at the Esper player. We've got 3 flyers in play, so we might survive, but I'm not hopeful. Anyway, the Esper player just takes 7 points of commander. Zacama immediately going to destroy the Platinum Angel. Then it's 3 damage onto their own creature. Oh, so they just do that a couple of times and kill us off, don't they? Yeah, didn't see that interaction, so Brash Taunter is going to deal 3 damage to us, thanks to the Zacama Lightning Bolt. And this is just the type of thing, this is a very mild thing that you can do actually with Zerda in play. You can do much more obnoxious stuff than this, but yeah, Zacama only casting 1 mana apiece per activation that they've got is really proving to be a good thing for them. Not sure how far away we were from the Shadow Spear, but maybe we should have more life gain in the deck. Primeval Bounty wouldn't have had us survive, I don't think. So that gets rid of us. Everyone's still at a pretty high life total, unfortunately, so I think we'll just have to sit here and watch them play for a bit. Zacama after that going in towards the Esper player. Then they leave their turn at that. That goes round to Nekusar now, who will continue to mill the Zacama player. Now Niv-Mizzet Parun coming down. That should be an easy means of them casting more than one spell in a turn. We've got multiple means of card draw now, 2 really good Esper commanders in play here. Some more ramp from Yennett, and then they go for an overloaded Cyclonic Rift, which will allow Niv-Mizzet Parun to draw a card. They're also going for the buffs on Zacama, which I assume is so they can fight the Brash Taunter and deal a bunch of damage to them before they bounce it. Now going up to 15. And don't forget, the Nylea also only costs, is it 2 less that this does? Yeah, it's 2 less, so Nylea only costs 2 to activate. So yeah, going in for making this a 15-15, fighting that, and then pointing the Brash Taunter over here to knock them down to 7. Then Niv-Mizzet Parun will get to throw damage around as well as mill someone, continuing to just focus on milling Zacama. So all the non-land permanents getting bounced there. And you would think they would swing in with these creatures, unless they're worried about some kind of haste. They swing in at Zacama, and then down comes Zacama Primal Calamity again, just coming straight into play on tapping all the lands. I dare say they focus on getting Zerda into play again. They do, and getting down the Brash Taunter again, not leaving up any green mana, noticeably. Now Gamble coming in from the Nekusar player. They've got 8 cards in hand. And now then, what did they discard there? Discarded their Niv-Mizzet Parun to the Gamble, so we know that that's not what they tutored for, because it's just been bounced. Curse of Vengeance. Whenever the enchanted player casts a spell, put a spike counter on it. And when the enchanted player loses the game, you gain X life, draw X cards, where X is the number of spike counters on it. That's a really interesting one. Never seen that before. It is enchanting the Esper player, because they're the most likely to die before they do. Aminatu's Augury now. So yeah, they've got some stuff in the exile zone here. I don't think there's anything too incredible. Prognostic Sphinx, Soothsaying, Swan Song, Muldrifter, Time Sifter. Well, they decided to go for their only artifact in Time Sifter. I don't know this one. At the beginning of each upkeep, each player exiles the top card of their library. The player who exiled the card with the highest CMC takes an extra turn after this one. If 2 or more players are tied for the highest total, then you repeat the process until the tie is broken. Yeah, they can get extra turns from this as well, can't they? So they're probably going to lose next turn anyway. If Zacama wants to, it can blow this up quite easily. Their creature spell is a Muldrifter. I obviously don't know what cards they have in their deck. We did have a look before, so maybe some of you remember. They could have gone for Mystical Tutor in response to the Muldrifter and gone for a removal spell onto probably Zerda or the Zacama. But they didn't do that. Going for Soothsaying. That is their enchantment, so they've got instants and sorceries left. Now going for the Mystical Tutor. Now they passed the turn at that. They went for Expropriate with the Mystical Tutor, so they couldn't have cast that anyway, although they could have gone for a board wipe or something maybe. Anyway, what was revealed here off of the artifact? Staff of Domination is 3 CMC. Jace's Erasure is 2. Oh, and then of course they put the Expropriate on top in order to get an extra turn after this one with the Time Sifter. So Zacama really needs to deal with them now, because they're going to get another turn here. Yeah, Soothsayer is a means of them stacking big cards on top of their library to get a turn between everyone else's turn. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting way of building your deck. Anyway, they went for Zerda, fighting the Brash Taunter to deal 3 damage over here. And then Zacama going for a fight, and that will likely take them out of the game. Oh, they didn't go for Zacama fighting, they went for Zerda. Okay, so yeah, they could have taken the player out, but haven't done for some reason. Now destroying the curse with Zacama, and now think they're going to finish off their opponent. They're going for the lightning bolt onto Brash Taunter for the third time, and it looks like the Esper player has something to do. They're looking at the top X cards. I don't see what they can do with any cards on top of their library. And there we go, pointing the 3 damage at the Esper player. That is them done. So close them off, and let's see who wins between these two. They had to use up a lot of their mana over here in order to get that win off. Chromatic Lantern should really help them, because they've got a lot of colourless lands in play at the moment. But next turn they'll just be able to Lightning Bolt per mana they've got. Swinging in with those 2 creatures, that is 12 points of life lost. But it looks as though the Grixis player has something to say about it. They're removing a attacking creature from combat with the Labyrinth of Skolphos. Getting down the Psychic Membrane again. Not really sure what this Nekusar player is trying to do, to be honest. It's turn 10 and they haven't really done much of anything, to be honest. Yeah, getting down the Sphinx's tutelage again. I think it's safe to say that Zacama's got this one. And at the end of the turn, they're going for the Brash Taunter and the Zacama fighting each other. Ronas the Indomitable now from Zacama. And thankfully, going straight through to combat, Zacama going in at them. They don't have the 4 mana for Labyrinth of Skolphos. Oh, yes they do, with a Dark Ritual. Alright, passing the turn at that, they've got 5, 6, 7 and 8 mana. All red, so they can go for the Lightning Bolts onto the Taunter. And that is nearly enough to take this player out of the game. They are getting down their Joyery N as well. They are getting down their Joyery N. And then Dimir Signet will draw them another card, because that's the second spell that they've cast. And then a Propaganda from the Grixis player, so not holding up their Labyrinth. Hopefully Zacama actually goes in for the Lightning Bolts here. Alright, they're going for something here. The Ronas is only 1 mana to activate, so that's +2, and Trample they've given to their Zacama. Yeah, they're going for a bunch of pluses here, so I don't know if they can take them out this turn, but they can next turn. They just plus this as much as they can with Ronas, and then go for Brash Taunter fighting. Yeah, so they bump that up to a 23-9. And then, yeah, going in for the fight. So they've got them next turn. They just need to go for the Lightning Bolts with Zacama. Seems as though this entire deck is built around the Brash Taunter and Zerda. Which is really good if you have a game with no removal, which we've had here. But I wonder how this deck would run if you saw some removal of these cards. There we go, so they went for the Lightning Bolts, or the fight, whichever it was. This is tapped, so they went for the fight. Got rid of that opponent, and there we are. Hope you all enjoyed this game. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.